If you're looking for a new fandom to join, can I personally recommend Percy Jackson?
Battle of the Labyrinth. I read these books growing up.
Become a demigod. Talk more about Percy Jackson stuff. I'm so down for that content.
Please do Percy Jackson videos.
Percy Jackson videos will start being released on your channel. Okay, I'm doing it. Today, I'm finally making a video on the Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief movie. This is gonna be fun. Now, from reading the title, I'm assuming you know this isn't gonna be the nicest video I've ever made, and while I'd usually fend off from making a hate-fueled rant, with the Percy Jackson films being cancelled and a Disney Plus series currently being worked on, I think pretty much everyone involved knows these weren't great adaptations. So I think it's fair game. And while, yes, there may technically be worse adaptations of books out there, for me, none ever hit as hard as this one, because there was just so much potential, like literally Harry Potter-sized potential for this franchise, had these films just been remotely good. And I'm aware, the main argument in favor of them is that if you can separate the books from the movies, they're not actually that bad. And yeah, maybe, but these are adaptations. Not being loyal to the books is just one big old censored moment to the fans. So today, I'm going to be going through why Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief is the worst book-to-movie adaptation of all time, in my opinion. And let's just get right into the big issue. Not to be mistaken as the only issue, there are many smaller ones, but let's start with the main one, because they changed the whole story. Now, if you've ever read the Percy Jackson books and are thinking, oh, well, it's normal to make changes when adapting a story, you'd be right. Even the good book-to-movie adaptations make minor changes. With Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, they cut Peeves out entirely because he was too distracting to the child actors, apparently. And I mean, they removed entire sections and chapters to make it more suitable for film and a more feature-length size. You've also got Lord of the Rings, which I've never actually read, but I assume the films made some minor changes, although I've heard it's pretty loyal to the source material. In the Hunger Games, they add in this whole District 11 revolt after Rue's death to help set up the sequels, I guess. And those beasts with the eyes of the dead contestants were just regular hellhounds, and honestly, it makes sense. That would have been really hard to do and could have looked really bad. But these are, and let me stress this, minor changes, which Percy Jackson makes a lot of too, but the big issue is that they outright change the entire plot. Remember these pearls that Percy uses to escape the underworld that he's given by a Nereid in the Mississippi River as a gift from his dad? Yeah, well, they decide to revolve the entire film around these pearls. In this, they aren't just given them, but instead have to find them. So Luke provides them with a map on where to go to find each of the pearls. And I don't actually have as much of an issue with this as you might think. Yes, it's different to the original story, but if you want to make an adventure movie where the characters have to go find things in order to save the world, that's actually a pretty common trope in recent successful films. Weirdly common, to be honest. Then they head to the underworld, which is located in the Hollywood sign now. I don't even know. And it turns out that Hades has actually been evil this entire time, and the reason Luke sent them on this wild goose chase was so that they could deliver the lightning bolt to him and he could overthrow the gods. Which just... do you realize this changes the entire fundamental premise of the series and villain? Like again, if you've never read the Percy Jackson books and don't understand how weird a change this is, it would basically be the exact equivalent to the first Harry Potter film, ending with Harry getting past each of the obstacles, reaching the Mirror of Erised, and then standing there waiting for him was Severus Snape. Quirrell? No, he wasn't in it, and you know what? Neither was Voldemort. He wasn't even mentioned, which, if that sounds beyond words awful, yeah! The main villain in the Percy Jackson series is Kronos, and his name is mentioned in this movie a grand total of 1 time.
They attain power by overthrowing their father, Cronus.
I mean, even if I try to look past this and accept they're telling their own story where Hades is the big bad and also a comic relief character who doesn't take anything seriously, what was the casting of Hades, guys? But even if, it all just means Luke's plan was completely flawed and makes absolutely no sense. Why would he have given them a map to find the things to help them escape the underworld if he didn't want them to escape? He gives it to them unprompted as well.
Getting in's the easy part. Getting out, well, that's tricky. This is a map to Persephone's pearls.
Also, what's the point of the shoes? They were just useful. He gives them perfectly helpful flying shoes that Percy goes on to use in the final fight against him. Oh yeah, did I mention that Ares is basically completely cut from the film and the final fight actually takes place between Luke and Percy on the Empire State Building, with Percy's mum also there. Because apparently Grover makes the sacrifice to stay in the underworld and she was just okay with that. Like, a literal kid took your place in the underworld, and you're fine with that? What I can't work out is why did they even feel the need to change that part? Zeus ends up returning Grover at the end of the film, so there'd have been no difference if they'd stuck with the book's ending and Percy's mom had stayed, other than Grover would have been present for this scene here. And then also, if Percy's plan was to save his mom from the underworld, why would he have only got 3 underworld escaping pearls when he needed to get 4 people out? Whew. Anyway, Luke starts monologuing about how evil he is in front of all of them, including Annabeth, who then turns against him and literally tries to use the cursed blade on him, which, in my opinion, just goes against her entire character, who was always in denial about Luke and trying to see the good in him, and that's what led to be the important factor in the prophecy that led to him being good! And that's the big issue. Shall we move on to the smaller ones? No, I need a break. Let's move on to the things I actually liked about this film. Don't worry, this isn't going to be long. I thought the world building was decent. It opens with Poseidon rising from the sea and gives us a cool demonstration of how the gods can transform and exist in human form. I liked how Camp Half-Blood looked. I don't know why, but when I'm reading it, I picture it to be so much smaller, so I loved the idea of it being this huge camp with hundreds of demigods running around. I enjoyed the Lotus Casino, and well, I mean, the acting wasn't great, but I'm glad they tried to present an explanation to what was going on, because anytime I'm reading the books, I'm like, who's running this? How are they funding this? What are they gaining from imprisoning all these people here? In the film,
that was the lair of the Lotus Eaters. They've been luring people into their traps since ancient times.
They kind of explained who and what. I didn't understand it, but they tried. And I actually think my favorite part was the depiction of the underworld. It looked genuinely scary, like the lost hopes, dreams, and wishes that never came true. You don't want to go there. It looked quite good. I also thought some of the characters were pretty good. Like Mrs. Dodds was genuinely scary. Luke was pretty compelling. That's it, to be honest. The characters weren't great, but some of them were okay. And for the most part, I thought the CGI and visual effects held up quite well. I mean, for the most part. And that's it. That's everything I liked. So let's move on to the smaller issues. While most of the issues still do revolve around them not paying any attention to detail to the original story, I do still have some fundamental problems with this film. Like, I can't for the life of me work out why it was under 2 hours long. Like, just to go back to the good adaptations we were talking about earlier, they were making 2-parters that were nearly up to 3-4 hours long. And yes, as we covered, there were still cuts, but nothing big, whereas with this one, well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go through every single thing that was changed from the books to the films, because otherwise this video will end up being like 4 hours long, and I've got better things to be doing with my day. But I can't help thinking that if it was just half an hour longer and some of the huge chunks of the story that were left out were included, it would have been significantly better, because the way it's left, the pacing is a complete mess, and the story just seems to jump all over the place. Like, for example, there's this scene that wasn't in the books where they use Medusa's head to turn the Hydra to stone. Grover weirdly kisses her decapitated head, and then suddenly they're sitting in a diner. Which I don't know why they even included the diner scene, because Ares doesn't show up, but they watch the news there, and then the next thing you know, they're heading to the Lotus Casino in Vegas. That's 4.5 chapters, and in my edition, 71 pages skipped through in the space of 2 minutes. I also thought the stakes were very low throughout the story. Like, I never felt Percy was in any real danger of dying or that the world was going to end at any point, and for me, the scene that instantly comes to mind is the one with the Minotaur, because that is a huge moment, and it all comes off very anticlimactic. Like, they don't even try and play it off as if his mum's actually dead, and oops, silly Minotaur, you've just gone and got yourself stuck in the tree. Let me help you out with the horn real quick. Psych! That was easy. Too easy. And then when he wakes up a few days later, finding out that his mum was killed, the acting. Oh my god, you've got to at least pretend you care. She's just like be a little sad, okay? I mean, we know she isn't actually dead, but you don't, and technically speaking, someone who hasn't read the books or hasn't seen the films yet also doesn't know she is coming back to life, and I feel like that's completely spoiled by his lack of a reaction. Which, on that note, going through the things they kept the same from the books, the writers didn't even seem to remotely care about building suspense towards the twists or the reveals, and I don't know, it all just seemed very on the nose. Like how they reveal Percy is the son of Poseidon right from the opening 2 scenes, where they reveal Poseidon has a son, and then next thing you know, there's this guy breathing underwater. Oh, I wonder who he is. I know that there aren't going to be many people going into the film, or even the book for that matter, not knowing that he's the son of Poseidon. In the same way you don't go into Harry Potter not knowing that he's actually a wizard. But you still want to build up to it, leaving a trail of clues before the payoff where it's revealed to the character themselves, and Percy being claimed by Poseidon was a pretty important moment for his character, so I don't know, it was just really weird for me for them to do it like this. Also, the reveal of Grover being half goat is dreadful. There's no point being around the bush. It happens during a very dark scene, shot at a weird angle in the back of a car. You can hardly see what's going on. And for Percy, this is a pretty important moment because it's revealing to him that this magical world in fact exists, and his reaction.
You're half donkey?
Like, why? Couldn't they have at least waited for Grover to get out the car so we could have got a nice full shot of him, half man, half goat, and just as Percy's about to overreact, he's like, no time to explain, we've got to go. That would have been such an easy and effective change. But, I mean, the crowning jewel of them just not caring about the big reveals has to be Luke. Again, I admitted earlier, I liked his character in this film. I think Jacob Bell did a great job bringing him to life. It was very similar to how I pictured him. But they didn't even try and mask who he really is. You see, for me, the whole reason the Luke is actually evil reveal is so effective and catches you off guard is because of the timing. It's in the final chapter, the quest is over, everything's just wrapping up, and then bang, Luke tries to kill him. And I accept I will never be able to watch the movie not knowing that Luke is actually evil because I'm already accustomed to the fact that that was going to happen, but for me, it just seemed so obvious, even if I was trying to put myself in the shoes of someone who hadn't read the books and was watching the movie for the first time. You know what I mean? He makes it clear he doesn't like the gods right from the off, and you just know someone's gonna try and stop them before they get up to Olympus, and so, yeah, it wasn't that surprising. Also, while we're here, I know I said I wouldn't go through all the changes, but can I go through some of the ones that just made me go, why? Because Percy is way too old. He's meant to be 12, and Logan Lerman, who was playing him in 2010, was 18! Honestly, I'm not even sure I can count this as a minor change, because the entire story revolves around a prophecy about him turning 16, but even if we can look past that, because technically that comes into play more in the sequels, him being a mid to late teenager just creates problems. Firstly, I don't think the dynamic with Gabe works. Yes, with a 12-year-old, he's intimidating, but I don't even know why Percy's afraid of him. You can take him in a fight, you're the same size as him. Also, the whole him and Annabeth not being old enough to realize they have feelings for each other doesn't work when they're both of age. And yet they don't even try to be subtle about it. On the topic of Annabeth, she doesn't look anything like the blonde, grey-eyed character from the books, and for some reason, they decided to blend her with Clarice? Like, I don't know, Clarice is a pretty big character, but strangely they decided to cut her from the film, and when the capture the flag thing comes up, Annabeth fills in for her, I guess. There's also no dream visions, which was really upsetting to me because you know how much I love my dream visions. The Oracle isn't in this, and they didn't even bother to explain the mist. Like, at times I'm wondering even if it exists within this universe, because the mortals just seem to know what's going on. Luke says he's never met his dad.
My dad's a jerk. I've never met him.
Which is a really weird line to include, because we know he has. It's an important part of the last book, and Annabeth was there when he met his dad, so she's right there. I don't get it. I can't work it out. Why would they put that in? If instead he said, yeah, I've met my dad once, what difference would it have made to the film? And that's what I can't work out. What was the big plan here? How are they planning on going on to make sequels to this when they've changed the first part so much? All of the setups are now out of place. So how do you go on from here? Do you continue telling your own story and just kind of making it up as you go? Or do you try and retcon it and just make it one big mess? That's the best word for it. It's a mess. It would be a mess. And honestly, I hate to say it, but I'm glad they never made a sequel to this. I'm glad they cancelled it, because I don't want to know where it would have gone. And yeah, this has been a fun, sweaty video. I don't know why. I chose the hottest day of the year to record this video, and I probably look like a pig, sweating, just non-stop. So if you enjoyed that, for whatever reason, make sure to leave a like, and subscribe to my channel by clicking here, watch another video by clicking here, check out my Patreon here and in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.